the Springfield Armory Hellcat Pro Threaded Barrel Edition in FDE. Let's check it out. When Springfield Armory introduced the Hellcat, it was an answer to the SIG P365, and then it added an additional round. This has been an extremely popular concealed carry option, and one of the things about Springfield is they have added a number of models to the Hellcat line, including the RDP, which has a compensator on the end, red dot ready, and then they have the Pro. Now they're introducing the Hellcat Pro in FDE with a threaded barrel. This gives you a lot of options. Of course, it's already optics ready. It's that really thin size, and yet it holds 15 rounds in the magazine. And guys, this is a great home defense, self-defense, concealed carry option. It's kind of one of those guns that can fit a lot of roles. And we want to give a big thank you to Springfield Armory for sending the Hellcat Pro with the threaded barrel in FDE for this review. It's always good to get a Hellcat out to the range. Well, guys, the Hellcat came out in 2019, and it was the answer to the SIG P365. This one carries 11+1, and then they have a 13-round mag capacity as well. Very thin, very small handgun, excellent for concealed carry, for more deep cover. And again, pretty much that same profile of the SIG P365. And then we saw a bunch of others just kind of fall in line, which is great to see. Gives us a lot of options. Then in 2021, they came out with the Hellcat RDP. This is one of my personal favorite Hellcats because it has the compensator on the end. And guys, it really helps mitigate recoil. I mean, it's very easy to pull on and off. There's a lock system, and I'll have the full review annotated right above. It does come with the Hex Wasp. All these are optics ready. They started out that way. And then, of course, it just has a finger rest here on the magazine. Still has that 11+1 or 13. Then they came out with the Pro model. Now, one thing about the Pro model, and this was something that really was a big game changer, especially for full-size handguns, is you have a full-size silhouette with a full grip, and you have 15+1 in the magazine, but super thin. I mean, incredibly thin. And one thing I want to mention is that we do have the guns unloaded. All these guns have been safety checked. So take the new Echelon. This is a full-size handgun from Springfield Armory. This is an excellent handgun, and you can see where this Hellcat styling went into their main line. And this kind of replaced the XD, XDM series. I'm sure they're still making some, but it gets to that different look to it. This has been just a fantastic gun. Now, 17+1. So it's got a real nice round capacity. But I want you to look at the differences. The thinness of the Hellcat Pro. It gives you a full-size gun, but yet it's thin enough to conceal. Yes, you can conceal the Echelon, but you're going to have to work at it. I mean, it's a large gun unless you're a really large guy. So, you know, you're getting the same capacity because we have 17-round mags for the Hellcat Pro now. So here is the Hellcat Pro with the threaded barrel. You can see 17+1, 17+1, and yet a much smaller handgun. So why would you need this larger Echelon? Well, this is great for home defense, self-defense. I mean, it gives you a little more weight, a little more grip to the gun, and so it's going to allow this to be, you know, just more capable as far as in a more of a combat situation. But there's not a lot lost with the new Hellcat Pro series, whether it's the threaded barrel or not. That is the huge plus for the Pro series, and a number of different companies have done that, have come out with their small micro 9, and then they've added a kind of a full-size option, and it really crosses some barriers. It's really a hybrid, and because it's so thin, it is concealable, and yet it shoots like a full-size gun. Now, the focus of this review is the Hellcat Pro with the threaded barrel that's come out in FDE. They came out with the original black version back in, I think it was June, and it's just an excellent handgun. This is really to introduce their FDE version, but let's look at some differences. One of the big things, of course, is you do have a 17-round magazine. And so you have a 17 plus 1, chamber's empty, and then we have the threaded barrel. Suppressors have become very popular. Of course, obviously, if you want to put a compensator on it, you can. But this gives you, again, a full-size handgun, and yet super thin. Guys, when it comes to suppressors, we took the Silencer Co. Omega 9K, went down to the range with Robbie Wheaton, just got to shoot a lot. It was right after our live on Sensible Prepper, and so we just had some fun down at the range, and it ran perfectly. You know, there's no changing of any kind of recoil spring or anything. It just runs. And that thing is quiet. And then you have a can, but yet you have a very small, thin handgun. Now, the compensator from the RDP will fit on your threaded barrel of your Hellcat Pro. There's a small slot. And one of the things I just want to show you is that when you hit this lever right here, it unlocks the muzzle brake. If you want to add that instead of a suppressor, that also works. Now, this has the Cerakote finish, and it's over their Melanite finish. They have a Melanite finish on all their black versions, and it's highly corrosion resistant. Add the Cerakote finish to it, and it just gives it just a different color, but it also gives another layer of protection. We also are optics ready, which has serrations on the top, which is pretty cool because when you're bringing this back, you can kind of grip the top of the slide. It gives you a little extra meat to be able to grab it, but easy to grab. One thing about the serrations is they seem to be kind of a thin serration. They're not very deep into the slide, and you have front serrations as well. But it's easy to grab. They're very positive, and they grip into your fingers. Of course, we have a cold hammer forged barrel, which is really top notch because it just adds life, accuracy to this barrel system. Now, the original Hellcat has a 3-inch barrel. Then they moved up to the 3.7-inch barrel for the Pro, and now with the threaded barrel model, it is 4.4 inches. So you're going to get more ballistic capability out of that little bit longer barrel. Now, the sights are excellent. All of the Hellcat series have the U-notch in the back. It's white outline. And then we have a tritium bead at the front, and it's outlined kind of a yellow or green color. And these are dovetailed in, and they are excellent sights. I mean, the sight picture is just really easy to see day or night. And of course, again, it is optics ready, so it's for the Shield RMSC footprint, and there's a ton of options out there. Then when it comes to the frame, of course, you have the FDE color frame. We have our accessory rail, 2 slots, nice undercut. The texturing, which is called their adaptive grip texturing, it's somewhat soft to the touch, almost silky, but man, when you just put a little pressure on it, it just kind of locks into your hand. And I'll tell you, the grip, because it's thin, it's very pointable. It kind of reminds me a little bit of shooting a 1911, just the way that the balance of the gun when you move it from side to side. But it just really has an encompassing grip all the way around, and then for your thumb. And then we have a memory pad up at the front. There is a small divot in there, so you can actually rest your thumb right on that. And plus, when you're finished shooting, getting your finger out of the trigger guard, you have a place to put it. So it makes it a nice memory pad. Really like the grip. I think it's very well done, and that's the way it is with all the Hellcats. Mag release right here, very easy to get to. It jettisons the magazines out, and it can be switched to the other side. And then we have our slide stop, and we have our takedown lever. But I like the grip angle. It's pretty much straight up, and then it has a nice beaver tail to rest under the slide, so you don't have to worry about any kind of hammer bite or slide bite. And it's the same with the original Hellcat. When it comes to bore axis, it is really low. And one of the things about bore axis, if you have a really thicker slide and it's high, kind of think of it this way. If you put your hand down here and you shoot the gun, the recoil is going to be violent. The closer you can get your hand up to the slide and the less slide mass you have, the more you can mitigate the recoil. And one of the things about this handgun in particular is that it is a very flat shooting. And I say that quite a bit because I get a pretty good grip on my firearms. But this tends to just come straight back into your hand. There's something about it. I've shot this compared to a lot of other guns when I've been at the range. And there's something about the way the Hellcat, especially the Pro, just seems to that slide just seems to kind of ride in more of a straight line. And there's just less muzzle flip. And a lot of that has to do with the recoil system. It has a dual spring recoil system. But, you know, with the standard Hellcat, because the grip is so short, you're going to have a little more felt recoil. And with the original Hellcat, you had one slot. And finding a light that would fit that was somewhat difficult because it's really short. Again, with the Hellcat Pro series, it's that 2-slot and it gives you a lot more real estate. You can put pretty much any light on here. And the 17-round mags came out last year. They are stainless steel. They're excellent. And again, I mean 17 rounds. And then if you want to go with the 15 rounds, it just gives you a lot of options. That also comes with your standard 15-round magazine, and it fits as well. So if you want to get that concealed carry down a little bit and put that grip into a smaller length, but if you want the capability, you've got it right there with 17 rounds. I mean, that's as much as a Glock 17, and yet a lot smaller. And the grip does give you some area in case you have any kind of malfunction. You can rip these mags out, just a little bit of a lip here at the front, and it nestles into the grip. A little bit of beveling on the magazine well, and then the magazines are beveled, so it makes it a really easy insert for your mags. And we take a dummy round, drop the slide, and right here in the top of the chamber of the barrel, you can see that little bit of an orange. And of course it would be brass if you look down inside. So that is a good loaded chamber indicator. Now if you have your standard Hellcat, you can go with a 15-round magazine. It does hang out a little bit. Or you can go with a 17-round magazine, and it just gives you a lot more capability. So even if you have just a standard Hellcat, you have availability for these 17-round mags. Now weight on the Hellcat Pro with the threaded barrel. It's 21.42 ounces. Weight of the new Springfield Armory Echelon, 26.67 ounces. And just for kicks, the Hellcat, 18.23 ounces. This is a light handgun, easy to carry. Big thank you to Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo, all made in the USA, #1 supplier of ammunition in the country. One of the things that Fiocchi really does is help us to be able to shoot a lot of rounds. We don't have to be skimpy, and it just makes it nice to be able to really feel how the gun works. Also, we really appreciate Lula Loaders. They send us these loaders, and I'll tell you what, this makes it really easy on range day, especially these more standard capacity, higher capacity magazines. I'll tell you what, guys, this little Springfield, the recoil is really excellent. It just comes back in your hand. Really enjoyed shooting these Hellcats. I mean, just great, small, compact options. Hellcat's been a very popular handgun for concealed carry. Came in right on the heels of the SIG P365 with an additional round for the same size. I love the sights, the U-notch sight with the tritium bead at the front. Of course, it's optics ready, and now with the threaded barrel model, just gives you more capability with a suppressor. And there's something about this gun, though, that I really enjoy shooting. It just seems to track really well, low bore axis, and it kind of comes back in your hand, but not as much muzzle flip. I mean, it's flat shooting. And you know, putting a suppressor on there would be excellent, and that's really what this model is about. But it just gives you that capability. Texturing on here is really nice as well. That extra round capacity for a very small concealable handgun. Hellcat, I've really loved that series, and I do carry the Hellcat as my regular concealed carry rotation because they're just great guns. Now for disassembly, drop our magazine, check the chamber, gun's empty, bring back the slide into slide lock, take your lever, push it up in the up position, drop the slide, pull the trigger, and then move your slide from the frame. Recoil spring and guide rod, captive. It is nestled up into the barrel shroud or the slide shroud right here, and then we're going to remove our thread protector. Again, 1/2 by 28 threads. And then we're going to drop our barrel. Sometimes when you have Cerakote, there's a little bit of a layer inside. In fact, right here on the barrel, we had just a little bit of Cerakote. I kind of wiped some of it off, but that'll just wear off over time. Here we have the slide. Very well done. Springfield Armory does a great job, or should I say, in Croatia with XD product, because they're the ones that make these. These are made in Croatia. All the XD line are made in Croatia. Nice polish. We have our striker safety right here. Just your striker fire system. Same thing with the frame. You've got your lock here. Now the rails seem to be a little bit longer than some of your polymer striker fire pistols, and it gives it a little bit better slide to frame fit. But you want to make sure this is in the up position when you return the slide. That's all you need to do to field strips. Pretty simple process. We're going to put our barrel back in. Go ahead and put our thread protector on. Again, you do have that slot right there where you can put on the Springfield Armory compensator. We'll take our recoil spring and guide rod, and now we're going to put it right back over the slide frame, lock it into slide lock, bring down your lever, and we are good to go. And honestly, there are parts compatibility throughout. Obviously we've got these switched out. I really think they need to offer this one in particular. I really like that look. One of the things we did with our original review of the threaded barrel model with the black slide is we switched out the slides to make sure we had an optics ready demonstration, and they worked flawlessly. Now the retail price on the Hellcat Pro threaded barrel model in FDE is $710. Of course, market price will be less. For the black version, the retail price is $667. And a lot of that has to do with just what it takes to put a Cerakote finish. And then, of course, with the FDE frame. As far as pros and cons, well, you have the ability to put on a suppressor or a compensator. And then you have a full-size firearm with 17+1 in the magazine, and yet you have a very thin, concealable handgun. It's optics ready. Love the U-notch tritium sights. The adaptive texturing is excellent to the hand. It gives you a little more accessory rail over your standard Hellcat, and yet it shoots really flat. And that again is one big thing about the Hellcats. The recoil again is just really back into your hand instead of so much of the up and down. And again, you can put your 15 round magazines in here if you want to just cut off a little bit of space, because this is the hardest part of your gun to conceal. This is their 4th model in the line, and of course this is an additional color. So it gives you a lot of different options, a lot of different mag capacities, and yet if you want something larger, this Echelon is absolutely fantastic. And this will give you the full-size option. So guys, one of the things about the Hellcat Pro is you're not losing anything with mag capacity, and yet it's very concealable, very flat, even though it's a full-size silhouette. And then with the threaded barrel, it gives you the options of suppressors. Again, it's optics ready. It just has that great Hellcat ergonomics. Just adding to the line of the Hellcat, which again has been extremely popular. It's great for home defense, self-defense, going out to the range, or for concealed carry. And with that threaded barrel, it gets down really quiet. And again, a big thank you to Springfield Armory for sending the Hellcat Pro threaded barrel FDE model. Whether you're carrying it concealed or if you just want it for that go-to firearm, makes a great option. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Coming in on some action. It is dovetailed in, and this is one of me. I really like these sights. Okay. Your mag release right here, it is metal, isn't it? Or this is your go-to. I mean, it's capable.
Is that in the right spot? Where's best is right here? Hold on, let me move that a little bit.
Pretty extensive, to be honest. Pretty extensive. Pretty extensive. Shot it with the Silencer Co. Omega K3. Okay, K Omega. I don't know what that is.